If you would have called me earlier...
We know. You've had your hand up all day.
I know. And I think I had a smile on my face the whole time as well in listening to what everybody else was saying.
Yeah.
If you'd have called me earlier, I would not have been able to walk up those stairs.
Yeah.
You knew that?
Yeah.
I was glad that you told everybody about this diagram.
There that is, just in case.
So inspirational to hear everything that everybody else said, but the thing that stands out to me so clearly is that the way, and I've been listening to you for quite a few years now, and it just amazes me all the time how you can be so precise in answering the questions posed to you and satisfy the individual as well as the crowd behind him or her. And it just reminded me just of what's been recently happening in Congress. And before I retired this past year, I used to hear Abraham always talking about or implying that listening to CNN is not to your greatest advantage, because I never watched the news. I didn't really know what you were saying until I had so much more time over these last six or 7 months. And yesterday's description of what happened in Congress just totally reminded me, or being able to really empathize with what you've been saying about how, it doesn't give you any solace at all to watch that and listen to what's going on constantly, and comparing it to what I hear here.
Let's chew on that just briefly here and help you find a feeling of empowerment as a result of it. You started to speak to, in fact you did, and in the conversation before also, about how the longer you sit here and the more resonance you find with who you are, then the more clarity you have, the more refreshed you are, even the more your physical body is responding in ways that it might not have before, that replenishing mode, that refreshing mode, that receiving mode. So as conversations happen, out of conversations, let's say there are two opposing points of view, and let's just simplify it to that. Two opposing people who have one specific issue that they are discussing, and they are in disagreement about it. Well, this is the ideal situation for the evolution of life, because each of them are wise from their own life experience, and each of them have come to their opinion or their belief or their desire based upon what they lived. And both of those perspectives, therefore, are valid. And as they, from their different points of view, discuss from an understanding of what connection is and what evolution of ideas are and what expansion of ideas are, then it is logical that two people who have opposing views could come together and discover reasoning power that didn't exist if it were not for their opposition, that would take them both into a place that neither one of them could have arrived at without the other. That's what evolution is about. That's what co-creation is about. That's what reasoning power is about. But when two people are focused and they've dug into the idea that I'm right and you're wrong, so that more than looking for the solution together, they are determined to make the other one wrong. So this one's determined to make that one wrong, and this one's determined to make that one wrong, and no new ideas are born out of it, and all reasoning power is squandered, it's squelched, it's not allowed. And that's sort of where things stand. But out of it, even with something so entrenched and so prolific and so abominable and so annoying, even with it happening to such a degree, still, with all of that happening, and you get to witness it right before your eyes to the point that the government shuts down because they can't come to simple agreements about things when they all want the same thing. They just mad at each other about the way they're going about it. Even with all of that going on, What's happening is there's a collective launching of rockets of desire and billions of people taking the bounce, and evolution is occurring because there is a vibrational reality that is forming. Humans are just frustrated because the see it, hear it, smell it, taste it, touch it hasn't caught up with it. But you could watch that, and rather than feeling annoyed because of the slowness, you could feel exhilarated because of the vibrational reality that is being accomplished with all of this conversation. Life just happens. You knew it when you came. You knew that you were going to be exposed to contrast, and that you knew that out of the contrast would be born new ideas. And you knew that the new ideas would be the expansion and the evolution of the universe. So your role as an individual lover of life is just to find ways of not knee-jerk reacting to whatever's going on, and you take the personal bounce from everything that happens, because anytime any discussion is going on, good always comes from it. Things are always working out for you. It's just that humans want to take score now and now and now and now and now and now and now. We are not really big proponents of watching too much of any of that, because it gets the better of you. It's like our friend was talking about earlier. It's so easy to be influenced by what surrounds you instead of finding your alignment and you influencing what's around you. You can make a decision that you came to be a sponge that just soaks up some of what everybody's got going on, or you came to make your own decisions from your own life, launch your rockets of desire, come into vibrational harmony with who you are, and let universal forces give you everything that you're asking for, and then to teach through the clarity of your example. So,
well, it just resonates with me that, I mean, the thing that was getting me a little upset with what I was watching is that from what I've been observing from you and from all the speakers, even today, but in the past, is that the contrast or the variety is so important, and it seems like one of the subjects that they had so much difficulty in reconciling was all these people from other nations and everything being part of the American dream.
It's because they're coming from a shortage consciousness. They think the pie is only this big, and they want to divide it out only this many ways, and they're worried that somebody else will come and get a piece of their pie, and in the process they don't let their pie expand. When you have shortage consciousness, your pie doesn't get bigger.
Oh, yeah, that's... Well, you've certainly satisfied that which I was thinking about, but the one question that I've been pondering in my mind for ever since I've been listening to you, especially, was reinforced more strongly with Jerry's passing.
Yep.
And I've been studying under religion, and that when you talk about the purpose of our living is to experience joy and happiness, and I correlate that with the idea of being complete. In order to really experience joy and happiness in anything, is to be complete.
Not to be complete, but to be in the process of completion.
Well, in the process of completion.
You never get there, ever. None of us ever get there. That's why there is eternity.
Well, what I was referring to is the completeness that individuals try to feel when, like in joining with another, like people with that in relationships and stuff. And you expressed it so clearly in many ways. The only relationship that you really need to be joined with is with your greater self or your inner self.
Yeah.
And the thing that was so obvious that, from the religion that I had been with, and still am actually, talked about completeness is the unification of masculine and female qualities within one. Within the same, within an individual. An example would be Jesus, who didn't seem to need, at least from what I've understood, other close companion. I mean, he was related to the community and stuff, but as far as intermingling one-on-one with, with the idea of a sexual relationship or anything like that to symbolize unity. The Course in Miracles talks about the body being a symbol of separateness, and the only way you can join is in mind or spirit. And that's emphasized in the Bible quite a bit anyway. But the main point that I wanted to bring out is that it never was emphasized to me more clearly than the relationship that Jerry and Esther had throughout my experience with them. But it was even superseded by, since Jerry's passing, how Esther has become, in her individual entity, so much more of a complete person. And the question that I want to ask you, and maybe you can answer it, is that we know that Esther is at some time going to return to...
Croak, yeah.
Yeah, croak. Which we hope not too soon.
Yeah.
But...
could happen in the next 4 minutes.
I hope not. I certainly hope not. But the question that I have is, when they return, when Jerry and Esther even return from the vortex back into the earthly experience, will they come back as separate entities, or will they be joined as one because they were so close together?
Oh, you've said so much. We're going to explain this to you in fullness, and you'll receive as much of it as you're ready to receive, which is always the way. From the non-physical point of view, it is a stream of consciousness which is almost impossible for you in your human form to contemplate, because you see yourself as individuals, and you want to see yourself as individuals. You are individuals. You are individually focused. You have individual thinking mechanisms that focus you, and so it is accurate to see yourself as separate beings. And yet, in the moment that we introduce to you that larger non-physical part of you, and better still, when you, through meditation and through appreciation, you allow your own vibration to rise so that you feel the resonance and this harmony between that broader focus and yourself. In the very early stages, we use the word blending, as you allow the physical you to blend with the non-physical you. Well, what happens with most humans, because they hear about that scantily, they hear about God, they hear about source, they hear about soul, but they haven't actually applied themselves to witness personally they're aligning with that, and they're not aligning with that. So it might happen, it might not, but no one seems to feel that they have any control over whether they're in alignment or not. And so then they assign the aligned parts to God and the not aligned parts to something else, to evil or to devil, instead of understanding that they have some say in whether they're aligned or not. So you're right. When Jerry made his transition, it caused a paradigm shift in this Abraham work that we are about, because the most significant thing happened was that Esther didn't realize how much she had been personally living a sort of conditional love and a conditional life just by observing the good times that they were having. She didn't realize how much of her alignment was conditional, because it's easy to observe good things and then feel good. So once Jerry made his transition, and there wasn't something so good to observe, in fact, there was something pretty awful to observe, her quest for feeling good became so outrageously dominant that she discovered what she had already known all along. She knew that Abraham existed, and she knew how to connect with that energy, but she let it be the most important thing to her. And it may sound odd, because through all these years we've been saying that, and through all these years all of you are applying things as best you can in order to accomplish what you want. But this was a situation where for Esther to, it's not too strong a word to say survive. For Esther to survive, she had to find some other way of approaching this, because the absence of Jerry was too much to experience or to stand. And then one day she heard us finally say, stop looking for him where he was and start looking for him where he is. And when she did that, what you just said is right. It increased her relationship with the non-physical. It increased her relationship with us. It made her understand in real time what she'd been hearing us say through all these years, is that there is no ending to you, and that you are eternal beings, and that a part of you comes forth in this body, and that you will reemerge into non-physical, and that there is an eternalness about you that is always flowing to you and through you.